On your first example, that's just 8.4 cents a kilowatt, right? Inclusive of all the costs.
Well, Bill, what I've done is I haven't designed the rates yet. So what I've done is take this 73 is a real number because you have 6.3 cents plus a $10 customer charge. So that's $73. What I did is just take 14.9%. Took this times 14.9%. So I hope I didn't make this graph up, but hopefully if you take 73 times 1.149, you need to tell me because I've got to. I want to know because I do not. He's done enough of these graphs for me. He better be getting them right.
No, I'm just going by. If you use 1,000 kilowatts, we're paying 7.3 cents a kilowatt.
Well, you're inclusive with the $10 customer charge. Yes.
And you just had 14, so we'd be around 8.4 cents a kilowatt.
Yep.
If you guys are talking per kilowatt.
Right. But most customers will look at it and they'll know their bill over the price per kilowatt. I'll tell you, and you guys can disagree with me. People who aren't in the business, they notice two things. They notice, are the lights on, and what's the bottom line of my bill? What's the total dollars? And maybe Lakeview's different, but 99% of customers are in that boat.
You look at the last number on the bill.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the last numbers projected on 1,000 kilowatt hours. If you use more or less, you can do the adjustments. So,
that comes out to 7.6 cents a kilowatt.
What's that?
For the commercial.
For the commercial? So if your commercial is, I have your commercial rate.
I just took $2,500 divided, $191 divided by 2,500.
Okay.
It comes to 7.64 cents.
Yeah. Your general service is going to have slight, well, is that right?
Let me do this one here.
I didn't want to get some nuts and bolts to this. Well, we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look. What I have, you printed off that rate to me.
Cents when I do stuff,
Sure, but they don't.
A cent per kilo. Yeah, they're going to go dollars.
Right. Okay. So anyway, the ultimate recommendation for this study is a 14.9% rate increase effective March 1st. And if you go back on Table C, on line 28, there is another recommendation. I am recommending that the city take a $150,000 line of credit. Money is very cheap right now. You guys, strapped for cash because of this ice storm. It'd be good to start a line of credit so you can operate your business. I'm recommending $150,000. I think there was already talks of $100,000 at least.
We actually
have
got things proceeding on $200,000.
Okay, good. And then if you look actually, and we'll do this on the update study, but just to plant the seed now, there is a large capital improvement projected in line 32 for fiscal year ending 2012 of $450,000 or $500,000. I might add. I think it's a $450,000 project. I added another $50,000.
That's a $3 million FEMA project.
Right, but you have to match.
Yeah, our
$450,000. And so I'm recommending borrowing that $450,000 since you won't have that in cash reserves. And the P&I is shown on lines 22 and 23 and lines 33 and 34. So that's just the other recommendation, but we'll be back to talk about those in a year.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
You're suggesting that the March 1st, 2011 rate increase, but then you would come back at some point, do the study, and get us ready for a January 1st increase. Is that enough time? Didn't really know. Because I mean, like, for example, when in 2011 would you come back and do the study?
Probably in the fall. We'd start it again in the fall, probably around October.
So I'm basically just asking from March to October, got enough time to gather the appropriate data to make that.
Well, we're gonna be gathering data now too. So we're gonna be gathering essentially December. We're gonna have it's this MISO transmission really. If you look at line 6 for 2011 and 2012 of the $150,000. I'm real comfortable with a lot of numbers on this. That one, I got to admit, is a lot of some guessing and some projecting. And I've actually talked with Marlon Burbis, and I did my separate projection. He did his separate projection. We were off like $4,000. So I'm comfortable with that number. But even with two analysts doing it, I don't know. That could come considerably down once MISO is 10 months. Wait, they're about a year old.
We have no history.
They're about a year old now. So what I'm saying is we'll get a whole nother year data. A lot of things might shake out. Who knows? You might get more FEMA money from this ice storm. You know, there's a lot of things that can change, and so the short answer to your answer is yes, we'll have quite a bit more. Now, what does it mean that we're going to be a lot different than that 11.9 that I'm projecting now? Maybe not, but it might be 10.9 or it might be 13. I don't know. But we thought with so many moving parts, traditionally we do 2 years and then do an update. We thought this year we'll just get this 14.9 to get things stabilized, and then we'll take a look for 2011 and beyond.
The reason we have to wait until March 1st?
But it's kind of the timing on the
of
readings, and
I'm just, you know, I mean, I understand and agree, and, you know, I'm confident that your numbers are correct, but that combining those two in such a short period of time, I mean, if we could do it a little sooner and give a little more time between the next one coming right behind it.
I would say this is as aggressive as we can be. Okay. If it takes 3 council meetings to pass that ordinance. And I would propose that, you know, if we can all agree on what the rates are going to be, we'd have first reading at the next council meeting. 2 readings at the two regular meetings in January for this to go into effect for all the consumption starting after meter reading in January, which then bills the 1st of March. So that's how everything...
Now I have, just in the past, and I don't know how this works with Lakeview, but I have seen some communities been able to waive that 3 reading requirement.
Oh, we could do that, but
I'm
not sure that we want to.
Okay.
We want to give businesses time to...
Sure. I agree.
I've got a question for you, Andrew. Is this something that we should try to incorporate with our fiscal year?
Meaning
to get to that point of...
Because of your fiscal year, my answer is no, and this is why. Your fiscal year begins July 1st. So a little history. Almost all Nebraska towns are a September fiscal year ending, which puts them at October 1st. October is traditionally one of the lowest consumptive months there is. And I know better than to say there's a good time to have an increase. There's never a good time to have an increase. There's a logical time to have an increase, however, and October 1 is a great one. So a lot of our Nebraska, we say, coincide it with your fiscal year. It goes well. It's your low consumptive month. You know, it's almost like you don't really notice it as much in October. You're not trying to hide it. It's just less of a shock. Now, July 1, summer month, could possibly be your highest use electricity, depending on whether or not you have gas or not. If you're a gas utility, some are winter peakers and can peak in December or January. But traditionally, July, August is going to be a peak month for you. So, June, you have summer rates kick in, which are traditionally higher than winter rates. And so you'll see a natural increase there. And then July, you'll probably have higher use and the higher rates. You'll see much more of a shock in July than you would, say, in March. Another probably lowest, either your lowest or second lowest use month.
So it's not that big a deal to you?
It's really, it's a perk, it's a nice thing that it coincides. The other thing is, if you're not going to coincide with your budget, what you'd want to do is coincide with your power cost. And so that's why I recommend January. Even though January is a higher use too, it tracks your power supply. Your power supplier, Mid-American, you have a 5-year contract starting in January 1st, 2011. Your rates are going to change, your wholesale rates are going to change every January for the next 5 years. So having increases with January makes sense, because it's like, okay, well, if you're a store owner and your supplier raises their rates, you have to pass that on to your customers. So it makes sense to do it when that happens than 6 months down the road or beforehand. So in that case, that's why I'm recommending the January. July, to coincide with the fiscal, is fine, but the warning there is that's a high, very high use, so you're going to see kind of a double jump, double shock there. Really, it does not, once you do this 5-year pro forma, now if you're looking year to year, it matters. But if you do this 5-year pro forma and you get a look at where your rates are going, then you can kind of adjust those months, and it's really not a big impact. It's more kind of how you want to run things. If you think on an accounting basis it's so much easier for you guys to do July 1, then, but I'm guessing it's
actually calendar year would be better for me.
It probably is. So January 1's a good time. You know, Colorado, for example, their calendar year, there are actually some calendar year Iowas, but there's mainly June, and I don't recommend July 1 increases for anyone that does not have to have an increase. Now, if it was, say, March or if it was April right now, yeah, I'd probably be saying, look, guys, we probably need to get this home by, you know, the next couple months. So that's where I stand on that. Really, it's up to you guys, but I think the March and then tracking your power supply change in January is a good way to go. Any other questions?
Being short of money like we are now too, like Scott said, we got to get on it.
Well, yeah, and I know. Well, you know my other recommendation. I know that some have appetites for it, some don't, and I totally agree with it on the PCA deal. But I understand there. But if you're ever in an that's what that emergency clause is for. Yeah. If you ever had a specific emergency revenue necessity, and there's lots of towns that have done that, and they've done it improperly, but that's a whole other realm.